Living Country in the City, Episode 3.
Y'all ready for your dose of flyover state spirit? Straight from the concrete jungle? Well, put down your latte and pull on your boots. It's time for Living Country in the City.
Hey y'all, thank you so much for joining me for Episode 3 of Living Country in the City. Today I'm talking with Patrick Alvarez, founder and owner of Bowhunter Brotherhood. Now this guy is a fellow city boy, living the country life all the way on the other side of the states in New York, and he started what's really becoming a movement of like-minded guys who love to hunt and love to fling arrows downrange. And I will say he's also got some pretty awesome gear available for sale on his website. I personally have one of their hats or shirts on nearly every day. Make sure you stick around until the end of the podcast. You can find out how you can get a discount on any of your purchase from the BHB store. Now, I'm super excited to get this guy's perspective on hunting and what it's like to be from city roots, but absolutely love the outdoors. So let's get going. Patrick, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So I guess to start, let's talk about you really quick. If you want to kind of introduce yourself, maybe talk a little bit of background just on yourself and how you got your start in hunting.
Well, it's pretty simple. I mean, for anybody, you know, there's just that odd connection that draws you to the outdoors. I mean, whether it's tree hugging or slipping an arrow in the pocket of a monster buck, you know, it's for me, you know, I grew up playing soccer and running around the outdoors with my dog, and whether or not, you know, it's a dying breed today while kids are inside playing video games, man, I was playing toy soldiers in the dirt, cowboys and Indians, you know, that was just what I was, you know, and there was no change in that. And though I did love video games too, but it was just who I was. And I grew up with a soccer ball on my foot and, you know, a BB gun in my hand. And that's where it all started. And my dad got me into it a little bit, you know, but it just took its own path once I found my own path in it. So that's where Bowhunter Brotherhood came down the line, though.
I gotcha. I feel like that's missing from so much now is at least, you know, you guys, you're from New York, right?
Yeah.
I'm from Southern California. You just don't get that, I feel like, as much like you used to. You know, I mean, I remember running around at Halloween with like a little this toy lever action rifle that,
right.
I mean, looked like the real thing. Nowadays, you would get arrested in about 3 seconds flat for something like that. But,
yeah, running around the neighborhood with a gun, you know, it's just different society, different everything, different era. It's just it's kind of weird. I mean, a lot has changed, you know. Technology, we are in the best time, I believe, but you know, it's a big difference from the 90s to, you know, the early 2000s. It's like night and day. So it's pretty cool to be a part of it, and you know, I'm enjoying it, and it's, you know, we have to be politically correct most of the time, but that's just not who I am and where I'm from. So, you know, it's a different world.
You know, I'm with you. It's an amazing thing. You know, we can sit and I can talk to someone. I guess how many miles is it across the United States? 6,000 miles away, something like that.
6,000 miles, man. And look at that. You know, look at that. You know, it's just, that's incredible.
Okay, so why don't you tell me just a little bit about Bowhunter Brotherhood? How did it start? How did you go from just this guy who loved the outdoors, loved hunting, I'm assuming loved bow hunting, and how did it turn into suddenly this thing you call Bowhunter Brotherhood?
Well, I'm gonna bring it all started by me laying on my bed with my best friend. That's where all, you know, I mean, obviously that's not where the best ideas come from, with, you know, two guys on a bed.
That's the shower, man. The best ideas come in the shower. Bed's number 2. I'll give you that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know, or right after the bed, you know, but you know, it just, I played professional soccer. It came from pretty much like a dark moment, not really dark moment, just, you know, kind of like a awakening moment. I played professional soccer for 4 years in Spain, and my whole life, like, I was, you know, if you play any sport or anything professionally, you know, you don't have the time to really do what's not going to potentially make you money, or, you know what I mean? You have to put certain priorities aside, and soccer was my priority every single day. So I moved to Spain. I played there for 4 years, and the economy went, you know, in Europe in general went really down, and they weren't offering me what I was getting paid. So I ended up getting cut from the team. I got injured that year. So they're like, we're not going to pay this kid what we're paying him. You know, he's injury prone or whatever their excuse was. I came home and I was kind of embarrassed to be out. You know, like I go out in public, all like these people are like, aren't you supposed to be in Spain playing ball right now? And I'm like, you know, kind of embarrassed to even answer to it, you know? So what did I do? I sat 12 hours a day in a tree stand, you know, I went straight to the woods and, you know, and it was just like, I found myself again through the outdoors, you know, kind of brought me back to my childhood and you know, it just, it really gave me time to think and figure myself out and kind of reformat in a way. And it all came together over time. And in that season, you know, I got home and, you know, after a long hunt with my buddy, which was my sister's ex-boyfriend, which is my best friend and still is. And I was talking to him. I'm like, man, I want to start something in bow hunting. And he goes, what do you mean? What do you want to start? Like, I'm like, dude, every time I go out, nobody thinks I'm a bow hunter. You know, I'm kind of almost like a city kid, but not like I'm like the most diverse person you'll meet. Like you'll see me in a sick suit, and then the next day you'll see me in the freaking woods all day and in the dirt and gutting a deer. You know, you would never guess it if you saw me out in New York if I was a bow hunter. And I said to him, listen, I want to start my own apparel line that it's not hickish. It's bringing a little bit of New York swag and style and fashion with a rugged look and a badass look. And that represents bow hunting, saying, hey, I'm a bow hunter, but I'm not your Billy Bob Thornton, you know, sitting on the back of my truck with a beer in my hand, you know? So
however much we do enjoy that, I will say, however much I do enjoy sitting on the back of a truck.
I'm knocking that, you know, we all love our, you know, our drink here and there, but you know,
but you're not wearing the sleeveless button ups and all of that's associated with it.
Right. And I'm not saying I don't have friends that are like that and that I love them. It's just not what I wanted or how I represent myself. So, you know, and I knew there was other people out there. So I started and it took me, I'm very creative when it comes to coming up with names and brands and ideas and stuff like that. And, you know, from being a little gamer back in the day, I used to come up with really cool names for teams and stuff like that and all that kind of stuff. And I looked over at my best friend and I was like, you're my brother, but you're not my blood. But, you know, we're bow hunters. And I came up with Bowhunter Brotherhood. And it's just, I can meet you from all the way from LA and I'm from New York. And instantly you have that mutual connection of being a brother, man. And you have a respect for each other because being a bow hunter, we know what goes into it and we know who you are as a person to be a bow hunter. So that's where it kind of really originated from.
Well, and I feel like that's really kind of what connected us in the first place. You know, I found you guys on Instagram and, you know, I followed you for a while. And then I remember we kind of both realized that we're in that same spot. You know, once again, the city kids who one day will be wearing a suit, all of a sudden rolling in the boots the next day. And, it's funny, you know, we get, I tend to dress a little more hickish at the office. I've actually, so at work, you know, they end up hiring a bunch of Sams all at once at my office. And
right.
So they're trying to differentiate between the Sams. And so they start calling me Country Sam because I'm listening to the music. I'm rolling around in the, you know, occasional camo shirt. You never know. But, you know, I grew up in Southern California and in Orange County in Long Beach in LA, you know, it's where I grew up. And so get all these people, they're coming up and they're like, hey, you know, Country Sam, so where are you from? I'm like, you know, why don't you guess? And they're like, well, you know, you like bow hunting, you like, you know, you like all this stuff. I'm guessing, you know, you're maybe from the South or from Texas. I get Texas a lot if I'm wearing the cowboy hat, but, and then they look so confused when I'm like, no, man, I'm from like Orange County. And they stop for a second. They don't know how to handle it. It's just,
right.
It trips them out. But, you know, that's kind of what I feel like, you know, drew me to you guys. And of course there's the whole aspect of bow hunting. You know, there's not only are you these guys from the city who love this stuff in the country, but but it's also that additional connection of bow hunting, which I feel like is a huge community in and of itself, you know?
Right. I mean, a lot of people, our parents have us, you know, when we're born into this world, we don't get to choose where we pick to live, you know. Bow hunting is something that's inside of you. And, you know, my brother, he's side by side with me all the time. He doesn't have the passion like I do for bow hunting, you know, and it's just part of, you know, who you are. And it's a weird way of saying, but to experience it was never something I chose to do. I had to do it, you know, like I'm going bow hunting tomorrow. You know, when you make it part of your schedule, or like I need to go to the gym, it's part of who you are, you know, and that's what it was. And that's what it became for me. And it's more than just hunting, and it's more my natural therapy, and it's more of my connection to this world than other people have trouble to understand because they don't experience it. But like you said, being in those kind of core areas where it's not popular to be a bow hunter, you know, the looks you get, and you know, and it's kind of awesome to be a pioneer in those areas, because I don't know how many people I got just recently at a Friendsgiving to love venison. You know, they're like, you got to bring that back next time. You have to bring it back. I looked up so many recipes on YouTube. You got to give me some, you know, and that's what I want, you know. They have to see the light, and you have to guide them there in the right way, you know, and present it to them in the right way, and talk to them and, you know, kind of paint, you know, a picture for them. And they tend to understand it when they hear how passionate you are talking about it and what actually goes into it. They gain a respect for it. So, you know, especially being in LA, and especially being in New York, those are the two opposite ends of this country, but those are the two core areas that are against, you know, hunting in a sense when you're in the cities of those, especially in Cali. I mean, you know, it's a different world.
It's really amazing. I mean, it's one of those interesting things where I feel like, you know, when you kind of introduce people in the right way, everyone's going to come to it a different way. Their different approaches are going to work for everyone, but you get a lot of those people, you know, wearing the Bowhunter Brotherhood hat at the office, or bringing venison to something, and you get these people, you're not shoving it down their throat. You know, you're kind of throwing up your flag, you're making your statement like, hey, this is what I do. I'm not shoving it in your face. You do you, I'll do me. But you get those people who come to you and who ask. And I was actually just talking about this in the last episode, where we'll get people all the time who come up and they're like, especially in California, you know, and I'm sure it's the same for you, who are like, okay, they grew up without barely even knowing hunting exists. They know from, you know, old movies and stuff like that. They come up to you and they're like, oh, okay, what's this whole hunting thing about? Like, and that's that moment where you've got them then, you know, you can sit down and explain all of the points, the conservation and all of these awesome things about hunting, and kind of disabuse them of that notion that, you know, hunters are just a bunch of dumb rednecks, or hunters just go out and all we do is go shoot a deer and take its head off or something. You know, it's
right.
There's so much more to it than that, than those negative things, those negative stereotypes that people get. And it's one of those exciting things. And that's why, honestly, I love the gear you guys have. It's something, you know, I can wear around. I'm not going to get strange looks wearing this stuff as I'm, you know, rolling down Hollywood Boulevard. But when somebody looks a little closer, you know, you're talking with someone and you see them like glancing up, they're reading the hat and they're like, what? Okay, what's that about? You know?
Right. I mean, there's this awesome thing I read one time too. It's like anybody can wear a shirt, anybody can wear anything, you know, but what you're representing is your own self, you know, and when you put something on, you're not just representing, you know, that you yourself as a bow hunter, you're representing the entire bow hunting community entirely. And the way you carry yourself is how you know, portray as the bow hunting community. Because if you meet somebody, now say you just met somebody and I made this very outrageous, you know, apparel, and you happen to like it, but you went out there and you were rocking it, you know, and their first impression on you is whatever they see. But now you're representing bow hunting in an awesome way, a positive way, and educated way, they're going to be like, those guys, know what they're doing, and they're representing a Bowhunter Brotherhood company, and I love what their logo looks like and what they stand for. And it's not just about killing, it's about the connection and all that stuff. As much as we could talk as fancy as we want about the connection, but they still would never understand it. But at least we're presenting the community of hunting in a positive manner, and that's the biggest thing. And everybody in this industry is making money from somewhere, but whether or not you want to stand for what you want to stand for is the biggest thing. And that's the core of Bowhunter Brotherhood. I just want everybody to, have a home in the hunting community that could be like, hey guys, how do I set up this tree stand? Or how do you set up your bow? Or whatever the case may be. You can hit me up whenever about anything, and I'm going to answer you. Honestly, I'm not going to sit here and give you a politically correct answer. I have guys on Instagram that message me all the time. I'm like, what'd you expect? You want me to tell you what you want to hear, or what or the truth? And that's the difference, And I'm like, dude, this is a brotherhood. I'm not here to take your money. I'm not here for you to hope that you buy a hat. You buy a hat on your own, and you buy a shirt on your own. But I'm not here to sugarcoat anything I say to you because I want your money. That's not what this is about. I stand for Bowhunter Brotherhood as if it was me, and that's where certain people in this, we connect because we can relate. This isn't here for just to, become a billionaire, because I'm not going to become a billionaire. I do this because I enjoy it, and I love it, and I love the people in it, and that's it, And that's why the Brotherhood began.
I love it, man, and that's some of that New York attitude coming out right there. That's, hey, you're not gonna get any.
Sometimes, man.
Hey, I wouldn't expect it any other way, though, man. You're not giving anyone any bull. It's what you see is what you get. You're gonna get an honest answer, and that's the kind of people you want to associate with.
Of course.
So tell me a little bit more about Bowhunter Brotherhood. It's more than just you. Actually saw on Instagram recently you guys brought someone new on your staff.
Yeah, that's Michael. He's from Michigan. Well, no, not Michigan. He's actually from Minnesota. We have guys all over the country. We have a small core pro staff that are, and that's the thing. What's really unique about us, I'm from New York. We got Gio, that's from Pennsylvania. We have Aaron and Jacob, that's from Iowa. We have Locke, that's my, go-to man that handles all the media production. He's in Louisiana. We have guys that are all over the place. We have Clay in Florida, So the thing is about Bowhunter Brotherhood, I know everybody's not going to relate to me. I'm from New York, man. I hunt whitetail. I'm out of a tree stand most of the time. I travel to other states here and there. But, in the end of the day, not everybody's going to like me. But you know what? They might go on our YouTube channel and see, oh, look at this guy. He's from Iowa. I hunt an hour away from where he hunts. They can relate to his style of hunting and, him talking about his, strategy on getting a whitetail. So we have a really cool group of guys that are just, we all film our hunts. We try to show all our experiences through the lens as well. And, we're growing quick. We get a lot of questions on how to join. And it's pretty cool to have a good group of guys that love the same thing that we're going to be doing this anyways. Why not share it with people, So it's pretty cool to have a good group of guys, and that's why it's the Brotherhood. I didn't start this to just be Bowhunter Brotherhood and there's just one person involved in it, There's 10 of us. So they're all, really good guys, and we all get together and hunt together as much as we can and go all the trade shows. And it's just, when we're together, it's a good time. It's an experience, but we know how to work when it's crunch time. And as you can tell, we don't stop working over here. So,
so you're talking about, you spend most of your time, hunting whitetail out of a tree stand. Have you done much spot and stalk, or?
Well, I've spot and stalked whitetail before and became very successful. Actually, both my biggest bucks are off the ground, it's so funny. It's it's like you step into woods. It's never goes as scripted. It's a lot. They're not going to just be the chapter 2 in the book and go word by word of it. So. Those are the only spot and stalk situations I've got, and those are my 2 biggest bucks with the bow, and I shot them off the ground. But other than that, I have not been on an elk hunt. I have not been on anything in that type of hunting yet. And honestly, like I got a taste of it, and I can't wait to really experience the full thing. And we're probably going out to Idaho for mule deer, so that's when I'm going to get my first experience of it.
Nice.
So that's going to be very cool.
That's impressive though with the whitetail. I mean, elk, you can be pounding through the forest and they won't bat an eye all that much compared to whitetail, man. Wind picks up and they take off.
Right. You know, it's timing. I mean, everything is timing. I'm walking into the woods, into the stand, and I'm just like cruising through, and I see this doe, and she's peeing on her tarsal glands. I'm like, oh, she's in heat. To you, there's a buck behind her, and long and behold, there's a solid buck I never got a picture of. So it wasn't like I know he was in the core area. I'm gonna go to my stand, spook them, and set up the camera gear and hope that he comes by again. I'm like, no, I'm taking him. I put down my gear. Those are the cool moments that, you don't get to get it on film and show everybody, but you know what? It's you in the wild, and it's back to the core way of how hunting it began for you. So I put down my gear and I got into the X Factor mode, and it's just game time, and I took off the boot kind of situation, and I just slipped an arrow right behind the shoulder and I got it done. So, that's just awesome. And when they're in the rut, man, they're only caring about one thing, just like us at the bar here. It's very, we can relate. So, they're the smartest animals when they're not in the rut, but they are the dumbest animals during the rut. They're just, you won't see them all year, and then during the rut, they don't care. I mean, if you play the wind right too, if you get in, and the wind's in your face, and they're going to look at you, but if they can't really smell you, their nose is what determines what you are and what you're doing and whether or not you're a threat. Their eyes are just surface. They see what they see, but when they can actually smell and register that smell in their brain that's not a natural element in the woods, until then, they're going to just look at you and try to figure you out. Their nose is what determines everything, and that's for most animals, but and I used to hunt off the ground a lot when I was younger. And I knew the wind was right in my face. I felt it. I was just stand there on the other side of a fallen down tree and stare right at them. They would come right up to me, try to smell me, and they can't smell me, and walk right away. And that's just me with my confidence and my scent control, and also knowing, the elements, what's going on, and keeping tabs on where the wind's blowing and stuff like that. But their nose is what they need. If they can't smell you, they're in trouble, and that's the cool experience is, like, if everything comes together like that, he goes out into the middle of a field and he's acting like he's eating, puts his head back down. They honestly don't know what he is until they can actually understand what that smell is, or if they can smell you. A lot of times, if you're in a tree stand too, you spook a deer, what do? They circle around and they go downwind just to smell you. Mm-hmm. That's all they really want to do. They want to examine your smell. So that's the cool thing about whitetails, man. There's a lot of times I go in the woods, I never shoot anything, but I love studying them, and that's a cool thing about that.
So how often do you get out during the season typically?
Girl behind me, what'd you say? 3 times a day, she says. A little bit more than the average person, and especially that I'm at a cool spot in my life that I'm able to get out there as much as I can, and I'm taking advantage of it before real life kicks in, and you have the house to worry about and all that. So at the moment, I was in the last couple of years, I'm able to get in there as much as I want, and 3 times a day sounds pretty accurate.
So you're talking about filming your hunts and all that. Do you normally just go out solo, or do you have a couple of guys you go with? I
usually bring my brother with me as a cameraman when it's like a serious hunt, or my buddy Trevor. I got some really cool partners that help me out. So, but actually most of my most experienced hunt recently was actually with my buddy Chris Abrahamson. He's a pro shooter. In the archery world too, so he's a 5-time IBO world champ, and happened to meet him at the Harrisburg trade show, and he lives 10 minutes. It's just we just kicked it off, out this year, and he filmed me. No, I filmed him, and he's like, "You sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, get in the stand, man. I don't invite you to come hunt and not film you. I want you to have a good time. That's just how I am, And he's like, "You sure?" He's like, "This is your spot. This is everything you did all scout." I'm like, "Just get in the stand." He's telling me a story, and this episode will be up soon. It's a great episode, and he's telling me a story. I'm like, "Don't move," and he's like, "I thought I heard her." And, there's the doe, right? He's a 5-time world champ. He has to take a hard shot 8 yards away. Throws this doe 8 yards away, continues his story, finishes off his story. And I'm like, let's switch spots before you finish this story, Yeah. And we switch spots. I go in the shooter spot. And then all of a sudden, a doe pops out from where his doe landed, where she crawled up. And I'm like, oh, my goodness. Like 10 minutes later, then I whack a doe. But I'm like, of course, the 5-time world champ has to take an 8-yard shot. I had to take a 35-yard shot quartering away. I'm like, it's just ironic how this works, But that was the most, it was just awesome to share that moment and double up. First time I ever doubled up with anybody, And it was just really cool. So, I mean, most of the hunts, I'll probably have somebody with me because it's easy, especially during the rut. A lot of things are going on. The deer are chasing. It's easy to have a cameraman. But there's times that, you have to get it done yourself. I have my last doe last season was self-filmed, and I did it myself. And, whether or not if I can get somebody or not, I'm going in the woods. So, it all depends on the moment and who's able to help me,
So, do you have any, say there's someone not necessarily new to hunting, but new to try, they want to start filming their hunts, whether or not it's, they want to start putting themselves out there, or if they just want it for their own posterity. You have any tips for someone that wants to start filming their hunts, maybe just starting with some self-filming, anything like that?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. My first year self-filming was horrible. I had a horrible season. I was self-filming. It is not easy. And it's going to get easier. You're going to figure things out. It's a learning curve, and there are things you can do to watch, seminars online to learn and stuff like that. But self-filming, there's really affordable ways to do it. But the more important stuff is don't expect to be successful every time you go into the woods, because you're not successful regardless of self-filming or not. Now you're adding a camera into the element. You're actually hunting with two things, your bow and your camera now. So you're trying to capture them on your camera first, and then you have to connect with the shot. The one thing I would have to say, though, that you have to focus on is making an ethical shot while filming, because now everything is becoming very fast. Things start going a lot faster. When you just have your bow, you have to worry about one thing. Now you have the camera. You're worrying about that. Now you have like a 3-second window to draw back and stick them with an arrow. My first year, it was hard for me to relax those nerves and really focus on the shot. I focused on the camera, but when I got to full draw, I just released the arrow instead of really getting into your anchor and figuring, settling your pin and all that small details on your shot. So, but it's all a learning curve, and that's like the one thing I would say to really focus on. But that's all, comes with the trade. You're going to learn camera gear and stuff like that. You would want to definitely a 1080p HD camera. There's DSLRs are affordable, and camera arms. Muddy makes camera arms, Fourth Arrow. They make really affordable, good camera arms. We're currently using Fourth Arrow stuff, which is very light and affordable for people to start filming. And there's even cell phone mounts too that you can use too if you want to hook up to your bow and stuff like that. So I mean, if you want to get into self-filming, we're definitely going to come up with an episode to how to self-film your hunts and how we do it, and give you guys an idea. But it's definitely a challenge. So don't get discouraged if your first year is not good, because it's very easy to quit and put something down. And my first year was miserable. This year I harvested four deer this year. My first year self-filming, I think I ate tag soup, and that was the first time I ever ate tag soup. And my dad said, "Camera, we hunt for meat," and I'm a competitor, man. I didn't get to be a professional soccer player for no reason. I wanted to compete against myself, and I wanted to do it, and it didn't happen to the second year. So,
oh man, yeah, that's one of those things. I feel like any hunting's complex enough. Then adding on the additional complexity of hunting with a bow, where there's so many things that can go wrong. The added difficulty, just, I mean, a million different things. But then trying to add on just one more thing on top of that, having to, whatever you're using, mount something additional onto your bow or onto your hat. Remember to turn the camera on. Remember to set your second tripod up over here so it gets a good angle, or mount whatever to your mount your phone scope to your binoculars or something. And if you're trying to get a good shot, it's anything that adds additional complexity is going to start making your percentages go down. I mean, there's just no ifs, ands, and buts about it.
Yep, and definitely getting into the woods earlier. You have to put all that time into consideration too. Setting up your arm, putting the camera on there. It's just making sure all the batteries are charged. Like you said, there's so much that goes into it, and making sure the camera's on. And I run 2 angles, so it's not just the main camera getting the impact of the shot. I have a second angle getting me on my drawback. So it's definitely a challenge, and you have to. It's all going to become experience learning. It's the best teacher in life is experience itself, right? So that alone is going to have to come through experience. You could go to 100 different seminars and they could tell you all these cool different things and filters and all these little things about cameras and how to edit and stuff. But ultimately, it's going to be you up in the tree stand knowing how to do everything and being able to do it in those moments that count. And luckily I have a good sports background, and it comes down to those moments in any sport that you have to get it done. And that's the cool thing about hunting that I can relate to, is that rush of, getting all that together. And when it all comes together, it's awesome. To watch back on the footage, it's a lifelong memory that you get to share with everybody, whether it's a doe, a small buck, huge buck, it doesn't matter. To me, that's a trophy alone, being able to self-film a hunt successfully,
That's the thing. Every animal you take is a trophy animal. Let me rephrase that. When you're an ethical hunter, every animal you take is a trophy animal. It's really, and that goes back to our reasons behind hunting. We're not there just to put a skin on the floor or a head on the wall. We're there for a million reasons. We're there for the experience. We're there for the, without getting too existential, we're there for that connection you get. We're there to fill the dang freezer, man. That's
it all tastes the same in the end of the day, and that's my dad is all, he don't care if it's a spike, a monster buck, a doe. He hunts because he's from Europe. When my grandparents came to this country, they came when there was no food in Europe. It was World War II, and a loaf of bread was gold to them. So he came into this country coming from not having enough food. So when they hunt for food. They hunt for the meat. They hunt to feed their family. So I understand why a lot of people hate antler restriction or whatever. For me, if I need the meat, I shoot a doe. That's just me, though. But I'm not going to go and knock somebody because they shot a spike or a small buck. It's, you hunt to feed your family. And that's in the core of the end of the day, whether I'm the owner of Bowhunter Brotherhood and, we need a film for the companies that we are partnered with. It doesn't matter to me, man. I'm real to who I am, and my dad wants meat in the freezer. Oh, he wants meat in the freezer. I'm going to put it there, And my girlfriend says, bring home the jerky. She loves venison jerky. So, at the end of the day, they don't care whether or not it's a monster buck. Yeah, it's a bonus, but to be able to sit down at a dinner table and know that you harvested that animal and you did all the processing, and everybody is eating very healthy and lean meat. There's like this small, very big reward that comes with that, and that's where everybody has to remember and kind of like keep that in the back of their head that that's what hunting is all about, and that's how it all started.
That's the thing. An antler may make a fantastic decoration, but at least no one I know has found a way to eat one yet, or at least make it taste good.
No, nobody yet. I mean, maybe some witches, maybe maybe they have it in a spell or two, but
there's
not us. I haven't found a way to eat an antler yet.
I'm sure there's some industrial grinder, but something tells me I wouldn't want to put that in my recipe. So talking again about just once again, you know the name of the podcast, Living Country in the City. So talking again about doing all this stuff, living in the city, and especially you guys have a great following on Instagram. How do you deal? I get a lot of positive comments. I get a lot of just questions, but every so often you get that one person that's just doesn't want to hear it, doesn't want to see any other perspective other than what they've already got in their head, and they're just spewing that hate. How do you, and you can't always shut them out, whether you're confronted on the street, because you're wearing a hat with an arrow that says hunter on it, or even if it's just people on your Instagram, you post that picture of the deer, a picture of a deer, and suddenly somebody is telling you how horrible you are. How do you react to that? How do you tend to respond to that?
I mean, you're gonna get negative comments no matter what you do. There's gonna be somebody, whether it's hating or being, I don't know if it's the haterade they drink, but whether or not what you do, it's just there's gonna be that, and I posted a picture of my first buck with the bow, and a person commented, "Why are you smiling?" And they think that it's just I'm smiling because I just took a life. Yes, in a way, but it's a celebration to feed my family. But how I deal with those comments is I feel out the person. I say this is not a bad thing. And I kind of, most of them already have their mind made up. If you talk to a vegan and not all vegans are like that, because I have a friend that his ex-girlfriend was a vegan and she was totally against hunting, and she went vegan and she was in the hospital 6 different times because her body was not getting the right nutrition and protein and everything that her body needed, and she ended up losing 30 pounds and looked horrible, and she was in the hospital 6 times in 1 year. And she came back to me and said, "Pat, I understand why you hunt, and I understand it's just like going to a grocery store, and I kind of see why you do it now. But how I deal with those comments, you have to either, try to talk to them, but you could tell 90% of the time it's a lose-lose. So I just kind of ignore them and, and keep it moving in a sense because, I can't change everybody's opinion. And it's even harder to do it over social media because there's just that disconnection. You're not there in person, so it's not intimate. So whatever you say, they're just going to spin it or whatever, and you're going to waste a half an hour of your life and not get anything out of it or not change their perspective. So you're going to get that regardless. You just can't let it affect you or stop you doing from what you love to do. And it's kind of a sad situation, but you're going to get that no matter what. And I guess it's just part of what, part of the territory comes with the territory.
I'll admit that is one thing I'm absolutely terrible at is not engaging with people when there's no value to it. I'll admit, I'm a dude. I am a man's man. I am prideful. I have more ego than I really should. And, I see somebody, whether it's, to meet directly to me or about someone I love or an activity I love, right. When they're talking crap about that, my chest puffs up and I start getting all offended. I'm like, I argued with someone from England on Instagram the other day, and I had this moment. It was this moment, and I was going back and forth, and I was writing these like 3-paragraph long Instagram comments, and and I wasn't being rude. I wasn't being angry or anything like that. But I was so heated that I can't let them get away with this comment.
Right.
This person lives in England. They will have, unless some strange moment of serendipity happens, they will have zero effect on my life. Anything to do with policy here in the United States, nothing. They've already got their mind made up. There's absolutely no reason for me to be engaging with this person other than some inflated sense of ego that I have.
I mean, I admit it, man. I'm guilty of that as well. I mean, like, especially, I don't do it through Bowhunter Brotherhood's personal Instagram. You know, I kind of do it through my own Instagram, and I'm guilty of it. You know, I'll go on Joe Rogan's post, and, you know, I'll see people just bashing him, you know. And I'll be his soldier out there, man, on Instagram. I'll defend him, and I'll state my statement. And you know what? You don't do anything in the end of the day. And same thing goes for Cameron Haynes too. Like, people, what they say to these people, you know, and I'm like, and I'll be there defending them in a respectful way and trying to help them understand our perspective. But it's not going to change anything. And if you look at their page or anything, they have like 10 followers. And like, you know, like nobody likes them to begin with for a reason, you know, and it's just like it's coming from people that are just, you know, their values are so out of whack, and it's just there's you know, and that's the crazy thing about America. You got so many different types of lives in this world, you know, and upcomings, and you know, it's just it's crazy, and especially on social media, you're gonna run into some characters for sure. So you know, I mean, I'm guilty of it, but you know, I honestly at this point I'm kind of like giving up on defending, and like, you know, it's a lose-lose, and you're wasting so much time and energy, and you're getting yourself worked up over it for them to just smile because they know they're bothering you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm like, it's like that little brother you just want to like just lock in a closet and like walk away for a little bit. You know, it's just like too much. Leave me alone for a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're wasting your time on them, time that could be spent doing something productive, you know, whatever it is. Heck, getting out, going on a hike.
Yeah.
I was doing this on like a Saturday afternoon. why I wasn't out in the mountains like scouting or just enjoying being outdoors? Danged if I know. Like,
yeah, it's tough on the internet. You're gonna get those comments, and you just gotta. It's gonna happen, whether it's, you know, a post of you harvesting the animal or, you know, or talking about it. It's gonna happen, and people are they're gonna have their views, and you're gonna have yours. And the difference is we don't go out of our way to attack them. No, that's what really bothers. You know, we're not finding them on Instagram or Facebook and trying to threaten their families or anything like they do to, you know, some of us.
It's ridiculous.
And that's what really bothers me. But it's crazy because, for example, you know, my girlfriend lives in Long Island, which is it's east outside New York City, and it's funny because out east in Long Island they stopped hunting in certain towns and in Suffolk County, and they thought they were helping the deer population by, you know, not hunting and stuff like that. Or we stopped hunting and, you know, all this stuff, and then all of a sudden it counterproductive what their thoughts were, the non-hunters. What they do, the state of New York and their town hired the SWAT team to start, the sharpshooters to start sniping off at the deer population. And they ended up killing thousands of them. Now, their whole vision was to, we don't want hunters to kill the deer and stuff like that. So they, you know, they got it passed on their board for that town not to be, you know, no hunting allowed. Now look, they couldn't even pull their cars out of their driveways. You know, there's deer bedded in their front yard, eating every plant. They couldn't drive safely on the roads. You know, it was overpopulated beyond belief. Like, and it still is in some areas out there. And what'd they do? New York State SWAT team, sharpshooters, take them out, donated the meat, which is cool. But
they actually donated the meat. That's That's I will say that's unique for me because I actually remember reading that story. There was a news story that came out about it, and I remember posting it up and thinking to myself, like, this is so just quintessential of what it's like living in California. I remember reading that and thinking, like, this is exactly, and it reminded me, like, bear hunting here in California. they outlawed trapping and hunting bear with dogs. Or no, actually I think, and baiting. I'm not sure about trapping, to be completely honest. But they outlawed baiting and hunting bear with dogs. Now they did the study where they say, okay, you know, they give out a certain number of tags based on how many they need to get rid of. We almost never get to the number of bears that need to be taken. Well, they did a study about how the number of bears that were taken and then the number of bears that biologists had to go out and literally poison, and just to thin out the population, they had to go out and poison a certain amount. Well, the number of bears that was taken by baiting and by hunting with dogs each year almost matched, I think, within like 25 bears or something, of the number that they ended up having to, over and above, have people go out and poison, or you know.
And now that's taxpayers' dollars paying for the poison, paying for everything to happen, and now you're costing the state even more money, the town more money. You know, it's a total counterproductive situation, and just them them shooting all those deer out east in Long Island. It's just like, you know, that's a good thing they donated the meat, but you know, they shot thousands of deer a day. It was a crazy number. I can't recall exactly the exact number, but it was a large amount, and it still didn't even put a dent. Then they wanted to stunt. They wanted what is it called when they basically want to what do they call it? Neuter a deer. You know, they wanted to,
like chemically, or
they basically wanted to
castrate.
Shrink like deer and castrate the deer. That way they couldn't produce. You know, they couldn't mate with other deer and keep reproducing. And that's not going to help the situation. You know, that you're trying to play God, and you can't do that. You're just making us being conservationists, and our money that we buy our tags goes into protecting and controlling the balance of the population, and the population of all these animals, since we've been hunters and been doing this the correct way, has been the highest of United States history. You know, if you look at the population back from, you know, in the mid, 1900s, it's like, it's not even half of what it was today. And it's kind of, Joe Rogan mentioned it many times too. And it's amazing how our money is taking care of all this, and it's going to protect animals. Now, these people that are trying to make all these rules, what have they done to protect these animals? You know,
what's the budget of PETA? I mean, PETA probably has an insane budget. How much a year do you think they donate to preserving wild habitats, to restoring populations to states where they've disappeared? Something tells me, I think the number, it's less than one.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, it's just, and it really raises a lot of eyebrows and makes you realize a lot of things. So, you know, when I read that, and I was like, they could have hired me to go out there, man. I would have been shooting 180-inch bucks all day. And you know, it's still bad out there. But now, you know, it's horrible in a sense. But you know what? It's educating people that, you know, and people that are making these rules are not hunters. You know, they don't have an inside view of what hunting really does. So they're making these decisions based on an outside perspective. It's just, and it's not good. It's like, you know, how are you going to tell me how to cook a cake, bake a cake, and I never baked a cake before? You know, I'm not going to tell you how to bake a cake when I never baked one, you know, and these people are making these decisions, and it's just unfortunate. So, you know, and that's the thing. And PETA, you know, I read up on them all the time, and overall, you know, they have an unlimited amount of money that goes into their organization. And I don't read anything about that money really going out to take care of wildlife across the country, or, you know, like you said, take care of, you know, public lands or stuff like that. You know, it seems like they have their own channel and what they want to do, and that's it. So,
you know what? And I've got 2 dogs. You know, I love pets. You know, I grew up I grew up with all kinds of pets, and I'm the first one to be against mistreatment of animals. And like I said, I love dogs, and you know what? I'll admit it too. I like cats too. It's not the most popular opinion, but I like cats too. And you know what? And I'm the first one to share like a goofy dog video on Facebook. But
right. I mean, my dog is it's technically my brother's dog, but it fell in love with me. So I mean, money doesn't buy love, right? So she fell in love with me, and she's the girliest dog you'll ever see. She's a Pomeranian Chihuahua. I don't care whether it's a huge dog or small dog. I love animals, and my girlfriend calls me the dog whisperer because, she brought me to a house that she was house sitting, and they had 3, sheep dogs, and they were protective. And all of a sudden now, like after spending an hour with them and getting them to, love me, they don't leave me alone. They're all laying on top of me, and the owner of the house says they don't like guys. They don't like guys, so you got to be really careful, Any animal, I don't care. I have a little, not really a fear. I just don't trust snakes because it's not that I don't like snakes. It's that they don't have the body language. Doesn't tell you if they're mad or not, or whether or not when they're going to attack. Really, that's what they could act like they love you and then all of a sudden strangling you. That's the thing I have against snakes. But overall, man, animals are a beautiful thing, and it's the circle of life. The Lion King taught them a lesson, a life lesson at a young age, man. And the circle of life is very strong. So.
Oh man, that's funny. No, I remember a random note. I remember coming home one day. So I travel a lot for work, and my ex was house sitting for me, and I come home and I walk in my door, and there is this little dog. The thing, I mean, is probably about the size, a little bit bigger than the palm of my hand, and it's this like toy Pomeranian, and the whole thing's like shaved down except for the head. And I walk in, I'm like, where did this thing come from? She hadn't told me. I hadn't checked my texts, and she had texted me that she was dog sitting and had to run out to go get something. And so I roll in, and I'm like, what is this thing on my couch? But I will admit, I hung out with it for a while, and the dog definitely grew on me.
Right.
I don't exactly have the biggest dogs. I live in a teeny little apartment here in LA, and so I don't exactly have the biggest dogs. I got two 25-pound dogs, but this was definitely a departure from what I'm used to in the animal world. But so we're kind of coming close on time. So maybe one last question for you. What advice would you give? If you had someone coming up to you, you had someone asking, saying, I want to know more about this hunting thing. Once again, I'm here. I live in a New York apartment. I gotta walk 7 floors to get up to my apartment. I live in 400 square feet and sleep on my couch. I've the closest I've seen to the woods is Central Park. How do I, what do I do? It's I've got what's the saying, the primal stirring, I've got this desire to get out there and hunt. What's my first step?
So funny that you said that, because it's very. I just got in a conversation with a kid at Apple, getting my laptop checked out with my girlfriend, and I got in the same exact conversation with him. He said he's been listening to Joe Rogan. He's inspired him to bow hunt, and and he never came. He has no background of bow hunting. Doesn't know anybody that bow hunts, and he's like, how do I get involved? And if you meet me, lucky enough, I'm like, get your license, look it up online. Get your license, go to your local place where you can take the course and everything like that. Do everything you need to do. If you have any questions, contact me on Instagram or whatever, and I'll guide you. And after you get your license, call me. I'll take you out hunting. That's who I am. So if you're lucky enough to meet me, I'm taking you out. A lot of people don't have, like you said, they don't have the opportunity to just go out and, be able to hunt a 300-acre farm, So I would show them, and not only that, there's not a lot of people showing them the ropes. Like, luckily, I had my dad to teach me how to climb a tree with a tree stand and everything, details like that. It's our duty to introduce people to the outdoors and hunting if they want to. A lot of people in bow hunting are like, oh, I can't show you this spot. This is where I'm going to shoot my next big buck. I'm the kind of person that says, dude, I'll take you to that spot, and then that buck, and I want them to love it just like I do and enjoy it. So I would say go get your license. I started Bowhunter Brotherhood. I talked about it, but I did it, and that's what you need to do with pretty much anything that you want to do, and especially license. So get your license. You have to get in New York at least, you have to get your gun hunting and safety, then you get your archery license, and then you're able to buy your hunting license to hunt. And when you get that, look up public lands. There's public lands closer than people realize. There's one just an hour north of New York City, and you could go just county and go to public lands and and hunt there. And you got all their regulations for public land. But you know what? At least you're out there, and at least you're doing it. Whether or not it's public land, private land, don't stop hunting. Do what you want to do, get the full experience. And if you have any questions, you guys could definitely ask me. Or it's unfortunate a lot of people are standoffish in bow hunting because we're very picky on letting people know where we hunt and stuff like that, especially when it comes to elk hunting out west. But you know what? As time goes on, there's more people and there's less property, less places to hunt, and people are becoming very protective of their spots, which I understand. But the more people we get to hunt and more people on our side, I think it would also help with possibly opening up more public land down the line, because we have the numbers on our side. So whether or not it's going to help, or we have to. We have to help out and try our best to guide them on how to become a bow hunter or hunter in general, whether it's a gun hunter or not. And I would show them how I hunt, how I climb a tree safely, and how I do everything, because it's not something you can just pick up and go out there and read a book and go out there and do it. It's a lot that goes into it, a lot of preparation. Reading the woods is one thing alone, and being able to know when deer pet, it's a lot that goes into it. So that's probably my input on that, man. Just get your license and do it legally.
Well, that so much echoes what I've had other people tell me is find a mentor, find a someone that you can ask questions of. Even if it's not someone that's able to take you out, like you're willing to, but just someone you can ask questions of and run things by, and they can point you in the right direction. And I mean, that's really so much of, I feel like, what you started with Bowhunter Brotherhood. It's what your group is about. So if people want to find you online, find Bowhunter Brotherhood online, you guys are on, all the various social medias. We got you in Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all that, right?
Yep, and www.bowhunterbrother.com is our website, and you can find us on Twitter too. Anywhere, just punch in Bowhunter Brotherhood, it'll pop up. And if you guys want to ask anything, whether it's bow hunting or whether it's not, we're cool guys. We're willing to conversate and give you our opinion and our honest opinion, and try to guide you in the right direction, whatever it may be.
That's awesome, and I will definitely link to all your pages on the show notes page for this. Show notes page is going to be livingcountryinthecity.com/3 for episode 3. So that's livingcountryinthecity.com/3. All right, so thank you so much for hopping on the line with me. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to kind of share your story and everything. So
awesome. Thank you, Sam. Thank you for having me. It was an awesome conversation, and I hope somebody grabbed some good information out of this.
Hey, all, that's going to do it for us for episode 3. Make sure you check out the show notes page at livingcountryinthecity.com/3. You can check out all the links and connect with Bowhunter Brotherhood. Make sure you check out the BHB store. You can get a 10% discount on all your purchases from the BHB store if you visit our partners page at livingcountryinthecity.com/partners. There's a form on that page. If you fill it out and subscribe to our emails, you can get discount codes for the BHB store and lots of our other partners. So check that out. I am actually posting this episode from my hotel room while I'm out in Salt Lake City for the International Sportsman's Expo. I've been talking to some great people and have some great podcast episodes lined up. Y'all should get really excited for what's coming up. So keep an eye out. And in the meantime, stay country, y'all.
Thank y'all for listening to Living Country in the City. Get show notes and check out the blog, product reviews, events, and more at livingcountryinthecity.com.